Today, on Guess What I Found Out, we're going to discover some facts about Autism Spectrum Disorder, or as I like to call it, the human brain, reminding us that it doesn't care about your boxes, charts or definitions. Here's the bold claim, Curious George. Autism isn't a disease, a curse, or something to fix. It's one of the most fascinating examples of how human brains can be wired in completely different, yet equally brilliant, ways. So, buckle up, because we're diving into the science, history and myths behind one of the most misunderstood conditions in the world. And spoiler alert, vaccines still didn't do it. Before we start unraveling the world's most debated brain wiring diagram, go ahead and like this video. It won't cure your ADHD, but it might help mine. Autism Spectrum Disorder, or ASD, isn't a single thing. It's a collection of traits that make people's brains operate a little differently from what society calls normal. Except, normal people eat laundry pods and invent NFTs, so maybe different isn't quite the insult people think it is. Experts now describe autism not as a line, but as a wheel. Imagine a pie chart of human traits. Some slices are extra sharp, like focus or pattern recognition, and others are a bit wobbly, like sensory regulation or social cues. Autistic brains literally look different under the microscope. Different wiring, structure and connectivity, shaped as early as fetal development. In short, these brains were built differently from the factory. No refunds, no recalls, and honestly, definitely no cures. If you've ever had your brain short-circuit mid-conversation and just said yep to escape, congratulations, you might be on the wheel. Oh, and smash that subscribe button before you forget what you were doing. Once upon a time, in the early 1900s, the term autistic was coined by Swiss psychiatrist Jürgen Bleuler to describe kids with schizophrenia. That's right, autism used to share a medical chart with hallucinations and delusions. Then came doctors like Leo Kanner and Hans Asperger in the 1940s, who noticed unique patterns, repetitive behaviors, trouble with social interaction, and a different way of processing the world. Unfortunately, society spent the next several decades being, society. Between the 1940s and 1970s, autism was lumped into mental illness categories. Parents were blamed, and therapy often involved electroshock or isolation. Because nothing says understanding the human mind like traumatizing it further. Finally, by the 1980s, autism became its own diagnosis, and by 2013, everything, including Asperger's, was united under Autism Spectrum Disorder in the DSM-5. And before you ask, yes, Hans Asperger's name was dropped for good reason. Let's just say his resume didn't age well. You've probably heard that autism rates are, exploding. The truth. We just got better at noticing it. In the United States, about 1 in 31 kids is diagnosed today. Not because there's an outbreak, but because we finally stopped confusing different with broken. Urban areas with more money and doctors report more cases. Not because cities cause autism, but because they have access to diagnosis. And boys are diagnosed more than girls. Mostly because girls are better at masking, a survival strategy society should probably apologize for. So no, Curious George, autism isn't spreading. Our empathy is. Hit like if you think empathy should be contagious. Or don't, I'll just assume you're socially processing that button differently. Here's the big one. About 80% of autism is genetic. Over 100 genes are already linked to autism, most of them influencing brain development and connectivity. If one identical twin is autistic, there's a 90% chance the other will be too. That's not a coincidence. That's the DNA screaming, "We're in this together." Some cases come from de novo mutations, meaning spontaneous genetic changes not inherited from parents. So if one child has autism and the other doesn't, it's not your parenting. It's just biology doing a remix. Environmental factors matter too, not really as causes, but more as triggers or modifiers. Things like parental age, air pollution, metabolic conditions, and toxic exposures can, well, influence how those genes express themselves. But you know what doesn't cause autism? Vaccines. That entire myth started with one fraudulent study in 1998 by a guy who later lost his medical license and somehow gained a fan club. The truth is, autism starts forming before birth, during early brain development. If anything, vaccines have helped prevent conditions that used to cause autism-like symptoms, like congenital rubella. So, good job, science. Here's what we've learned today. Curious George. Autism isn't an illness. It's a form of neurodiversity. The brain differences start early. They're not caused by modern life. Genetics do most of the heavy lifting, with environment playing backup. And, well, the goal of research isn't to fix autistic people, it's to support them. So, when someone says, "We're trying to cure autism," just remember, that's like trying to cure human variation. Maybe, just maybe, the cure isn't in the autistic person. Maybe it's in the way the rest of us think about them. Now, I promised a bold claim. Autism isn't an epidemic. It's evolution's reminder that one size does not fit all, and honestly, never should. Got your own insights, stories, or facts about autism? Drop them in the comments respectfully, because, you know, this is one topic that deserves more conversation.